Hello and welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday. As always, we're going to be discussing all the weekend's action, but we are, of course, focusing on the Sporting Press online edition Irish Oaks. And it's a wonderful renewal of the Bitches Classic. We are joined, as always, by the exiled Dub Tommy Lyons and, of course, the oracle that is Declan O'Donoghue. We're speaking a little bit off air. We have plenty to discuss because there was an awful lot going on over the weekend, not just at Shelbourne Park, of course, Towcester, Clonmel, Tralee, lots going on, some unbelievable racing. So let's get stuck into it. Firstly, Declan, you're very welcome back again.
Morning,
Declan,
thank you.
It's no doubt a vintage renewal of the Oaks. We lost a couple of the massive names in the opening round, lost one or two big names on Saturday night, but it remains a competition. That's quite a puzzle. The favourites' mantle isn't really resting that well. Susie Sapphire went out in the opening round. Mary's Wedding was well and truly stuffed on Saturday night, although there's plenty of excuses for that. She missed the kick and she found a bit of traffic. But it's one of those competitions where, you can't afford any little slip-ups.
Absolutely. And the draw next Saturday, certainly some of the heats in the quarterfinals, there is no margin for error at all, If you put the proverbial gun to my head at this stage, I would just perhaps favour Scooby Princess slightly, Scooby Duchess. What definitely impressed me, what I thought took a big step forward, although she was beaten, was Ballymac Snazzy. I thought she was very, very good on Saturday, and she is progressing. But there's so many in it. Excuse me. Mary's Wedding. Look, there was 4 qualifying anyway out of 5, so there was no great panic. Droopy's Gloss has been outstanding, absolutely outstanding, But like Mary's Wedding, they both can be they can hit or miss with the break, and that will be crucial next Saturday, certainly. I mean, they really want to be on their toes next Saturday in some. Perhaps the 4th quarterfinal isn't the most difficult, but the other 3, it's going to be red hot.
Yeah, it's a red hot competition. Tommy, Declan's after suggesting a couple of names there. We know exactly what they are. They're like the likes of Droopy's Gloss and Mary's Wedding. They're probably fast enough and strong enough to take on the boys over 550 yards, but it could well come down to a real speed test this Oaks final. It could be about what dog gets around the corner in front. And Declan nominated one there, Ballymac Snazzy. She's certainly capable of going around the corner in front in the final. Still an awful lot of racing left in this. So I know we're down to the last 24, but it's no easier to figure out at this point.
No, it's not, because I think I was saying this morning in the paper that I think there's 2 lengths between 6 of the 7 heat winners. Like that's how little there is in it. You really don't know. I was just going through the sections even beforehand trying to figure out, was there some angle on them, and it's kind of difficult to figure it out, even, to be quite honest about it.
Very similar sections, aren't they?
Yeah. Very, very difficult to find an angle in there that you're thinking maybe something did a good time, but it'll be caught out here or caught out there. Things surprised me. It didn't surprise me that Rahamofo won, but it surprised me that Rahamofo led up into the opening bend. Yes, it was challenged and all that sort of stuff. Because again, the best part of her race was in the last, from the last bend home. You could just visibly see her accelerating. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah, it was actually into the 3rd bend. I was going, okay, maybe the first round was a bit of a big run, a bit of a freak run, and then it was like she just clicked into gear. And she just ran away from them.
I'm not sure exactly, but I do know where the sectional thing is. When you're watching video, it's hard to figure out exactly where the 3rd bend sectional is. But I think she did 11.99. I think home.
She's very quick. From halfway on, she's very quick. She's very she's a bit like Droopy's Gloss, actually.
She ridge, yeah. Droopy's Gloss now again, same thing as last week, got a lovely little run into the bend, actually, to turn quite close, and then of course the writing was on the wall. Then it's just a matter of when she's going to pick you up, isn't it? Like if she turns that close without any trouble.
She's a brilliant finishing kick,
yeah. It was top quality stuff, and yet there's nothing between them.
Let's cross all the T's, dot all the I's, because if we go through each of the heats, we basically get to every runner left in the competition. The opening heat, Declan, you've already mentioned Ballymac Snazzy. She was picked up, but it was a very encouraging run from her. She was only beaten a half length. She's doing 28.31. It looks for all the world that after the Puppy Oaks, she was given an easy time of it. She probably needed last week's run. This was a much better display, 28.31 defeat. But in the end, Droopy's Gloss, who was only 4th into the corner, she made a tremendous move on the opening bend to slip into 2nd spot, getting on the fence. And once she did, she was always too close, although it was only half length at finish. Florentis is a strange one. Like, she's very capable of a flying start, and she finishes like a train. She's sort of caught out between 2 and 3. But therefore, that said, she's still only beaten a length. She's doing 28.38. She's gone through, and Droopy's Dot, who no doubt wants further. There's no question about that. She ran on again to finish third. She came away well, but she was a bit outpaced into the corner, and that allowed Ballymacsnazy hit the front. But 4 very talented bitches have gone through. Burgess Josie went out. Infield Supreme went out. Your initial thoughts on the heat, Declan?
Well, the winner was very impressive, and Droopy's loss, and she has a finishing kick to die for. And that third bend on, she does like the other graph that we mentioned. They are superb at coming home. Ballymacsnazy only her 9th race, and like Droopy's loss, she's done nearly all the racing in Shelbourne, which does stand to you. And the 2 of those were very impressive. They really were superb in that heat. Florentis is very consistent, ran on nice. It was only a length behind the second at the line. And Droopy's Dot, as you say, is very good, but probably needs a longer trip at this level.
Yeah, Tommy, Ballymacsnazy has the real early speed. Droopy's Gloss is very strong. Had it been a hotter contest, she may not have been able to turn second. That's what you're looking at going forward. If you're looking at the anti-post market, perhaps Ballymacsnazy, perhaps a more tempting anti-post selection, if that's the way you're thinking. But how do you read the race?
The interesting thing about it is that I think the better the race, the better for Droopy's Loss, because if you put in five bitches who don't have a lot of early pace, and she's going to get caught in amongst them at the first bend, and you don't know what will happen. It's down to a bit of luck. But actually, it was the fastest of the third bend sectionals of the 6 heats the other night, at 16 seconds, and she was only 4th out of boxes. She did get a lovely run, right? You have to say that she did get a lovely run up the inside, because the Ballymacsnazy bitch was gone. The 2-bitch Infield Supreme didn't really figure early, and she was able to slot in behind. But it shows you like that she was doing, no matter, like, it was the quickest of all the heats, so she was able to latch on in behind the leader in that company quite easily once she got a bit of a clear run. And I know what you're saying, and you're right. That as it gets hotter, she might turn 4th or 5th, and then she'll need a lot of luck in running maybe. But I just think the hotter the race, when a couple of them get away from her, she has that kind of it's almost like they say a tactical speed, where she can pick up quite quickly to get into a slot to put herself in a position to win the race.
If the gap arrives, she can get through it.
At the third bend, she didn't run up the back of the leader, but she hesitated because the leader was where she was, where Ballymacsnazy was where she was. So she kind of maybe lost a length, or maybe slightly more even. And I'd say she got to within a half length of Ballymacsnazy and just kind of eased off, because she was about to try to accelerate to a gap along the inside. Ballymacsnazy was given no quarter at that stage, rightly, and she just lost it a bit and picked up again. Like, it's a fabulous performance, but like it ties in with what we said earlier on. They're just so hot. You just like. She is going to need a little bit of luck in running as it heats up, but you can't crab that performance. It just shows how good she is.
Yeah, 16 seconds to the third bend, as you said, Tommy, fastest of the 6 heats for Ballymacsnazy, and then 28.28 from Droopy's Gloss, who did come from off the pace. Rather than saying lose a length, we'll say she surrendered a length, because rather than going into a gap where she could have found traffic, she just waited. She took her time, and she waited for the gap, and she had the pace to go through it. On to the second heat, Declan, Droopy's Request. She has tremendous early speed. She's a September 20 whelp. She's a 16.04. She didn't take a flyer, and she did edge across into the opening corner. She's one that if she's drawn on the inside, they're all going to have to go to get around her. If she does find her trapping boots, and I mean, like, it's not that she walked out the other night, but look, Tullivan Vita was clearly out in front of her. If she does find her trapping boots and gets an inside draw towards the semi-finals final, she's a big player in this, Oaks.
Hugely so, yeah, and she's still progressing. She is still, again, she's had 9-10 races, she is, yeah, and I don't think the trap draw is that important. I think she's pretty smart, as you say. She moved in nicely when she had to. She's learning all the time, with top trainer, she's certainly in the mix.
Yeah, she's in Trap 1 the next night, incidentally, which, if I was given the choice, that's exactly where I'd be putting her. Tommy, she has the right profile. She's very well bred. She's with a top handler. She's going forward. Just a lot to like about her.
Yeah, she's like you, right? She's only had, 9, is it?
Yeah.
I like the fact that she did get a bump at the first bend, but she rode it very easily. So, which suggests to me that she was kind of half anticipating it, because if they're not, and they're just kind of diving across left or doing something like that, they'll get unbalanced and lose a lot of ground. But she was kind of half anticipating that she was going to drive that bend regardless of what was inside her. Now, it's only a slight tap at the back, but she just rolled it so easily. Like, she has plenty of form out of Trap 1. She won the last time she was in the box, so I mean it probably is a positive. Although it will be a cracking contest just to the first bend between herself and Ballymaxnazy next week to see who could hold that position early. She's probably just as quick or very close to being as quick in the early stages. She didn't fly out of boxes the other night. Her section was probably, what did she do? 2:09.
2:09.
Would it be
She did 2:09, yeah.
I was going to say 7 or 8, 9. Yeah, 2:09. I think she'll improve a little bit on that. It'll just be whether she can do enough to hold Ballymaxnazy into the bend. She's quite strong as well without the time. What was the third bend section there?
She did 16:04, 28:23. Like, so she's doing what is it, a 12:19. You know, she's standing on perfectly fine. Like that, she is bred to stay a bit further on the dam side as well. So she is strengthening up all the time. I just think she's nice profile. If she does break on terms with Ballymaxnazy, I think they'll just go into the corner side by side. I don't think Snazzy will be outpacing her. I'm not sure the Quest will be outpacing Snazzy. I just think they're very, very similarly matched to that third bend. And the 16:04 probably suggests that, like with the bump, and there's only 4 spots between them at that point in the contest. Just interesting to see. Second was Droopy's next one. She probably wants further Declan. She's probably more of a 550-yard bitch. She just tends to get a little bit outpaced around sort of the opening 2 bends, and she picks up then going into the third bend and stays on well. She's second, and back in third was Macarthur, who I thought ran a remarkable race. By her standards, she didn't take a flyer. She was a 2:18. She's only 5th on the corner. She arrived into that third bend really, got 2 for 1 really against some of her rivals. She was absolutely flying. The other qualifier was Tullivan Vita, another one that'll want further. She's a good starter, but she just doesn't have the pace to stay up there with them. She stays on strongly. 4 nice ladies, Declan.
Yeah, Droopy's next one. We possibly haven't seen the best of her in Shelbourne yet. Again, I was surprised the price was so short. She was 6-4 in what looked a very, very competitive heat.
I think they're pricing her on that 29.59, 550 run. The night she did that run, she was very impressive. She flew down the back and did it right,
Yeah, she was, and she's good form in Cork as well. And she can obviously run, and she's good. But I'm surprised she's been so short in a lot of her races from what we've seen of her in Shelbourne. But she will improve. She's top trainer and everything else, She is good. Tullivan Vita does need the outside. She will generally get it as a wide seed, and she's good as well. Ballymacarthur ran a very strange race. I mean, I was expecting her to come out and to be a player from the start. And I must admit, to the second bend, she was actually 5th to the second bend. So I said that's good night. But she ran a cracker from there. Absolutely did. A side of it that we hadn't seen before, coming like that from off the pace. So yeah, she ran well. But take nothing from the winner. He did everything right. And as you say, 28-23, good sections, still on the upgrade, still inexperienced, very, very good.
Yeah,
in fairness to Ballymacarthur, she was still there at the last bend. And I think when you put in the effort that she put in, when you're forced to kind of slightly check off the last bend, you can tire a bit, or you fail to pick up.
She didn't get a clear run there, definitely. Yeah.
So she and Droopy's next one is very strong, so I wouldn't be.
To be honest, it probably cost her second place just for that checking at that point. She was absolutely remarkable, but she's just another example of Liam Dowling's ability to keep these dogs and bitches going. Longevity and with remarkable records like 16 wins, 11 seconds, 7 thirds, and then you go down 6-3-5 for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Like, they're consistent and they're performing at a high level and holding their form really well. I mean, she feels. I know she's not, but she feels like she's been around for a very, very long time.
Yeah, if she qualifies on Saturday night, her 50th run will be in the semi-finals of the Oaks. That's a fair achievement. Yeah. Like the way things have gone in the last 2 or 3 years. That doesn't happen very often. It's always the sort of young progressive types that go that far. And, I certainly wouldn't rule her out qualifying because she's showing plenty of pace, although she's in a fairly hot contest. Heat 3, this was, I don't mean to say anything for her, but I didn't suspect that the Oaks, I never believed that the Oaks winner would come out of this heat. As it was a cracking little contest. While Ballinabula Ed was lighting up proceedings at Towcester in the English Derby, his sister, Ballinabula Ruby, was proving a very plucky lady as she picked up Kilbannon Psycho, which Declan, and I know well, is not an easy task. She's a very plucky lady when she's on the bunny, Kilbannon Psycho, and she had set the pace. But Ballinabula Ruby, to get around her and to beat her was a fair achievement. It was a good contest. Ballinabula Ruby, a 14-1 chance, beating Kilbannon Psycho, a 5-1 chance. It was a length in the finish. I don't think either will win the Oaks. Highview Moment ran on strongly into third, and Ballinabula Evie, the second of the Ballinabula runners, a sister to Ballinabula Ruby, qualified in fourth.
Yes, I actually was probably fancying the Ballinabula Evie one a little bit more on what we'd seen the previous week. But again, it was a wide open heat. How anything was 14-1, I've no idea. How anything was even money, I've absolutely completely stunned at that. That was
I tend to 100% agree with you there. We know enough about Highview Moment to know she's very fast, but she produces big runs against top company. And when it's a little bit lower, she struggles to get the run, as you say.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a race that could throw up anything. A bit disappointing with Mina Melody not going through, because she's top class and she's plenty of experience. But that's the Oaks heats. These things happen. Hatfield Lola was great in the first round. Now she's gone out. So it probably was a more decent heat that we might be giving it credit for. But as you say, it's unlikely the Oaks winner will come out of it. But there are four very nice ones going through. You wouldn't mind owning any of them,
No, you certainly wouldn't. The 16:27, Tommy, to the third bend. I'm going to put it down to both Kilbannon Psycho and Ballinabula Ruby. I reckon they were about level at that point. It's not going to win you an Oaks.
No, it's a little bit below, but a nice bit of tracking by the winner. To be fair, you could easily have lost or edged away from the bitch on a winner at a couple of points around the first and second bends, and even down again to third bend where she's kind of, or as I say, she's racing the bend and about to sweeping the bend, maybe is what the best way to say it, and she's about to take over. Good bit of tracking all around, but he said it just leaves them a little bit short of what's needed.
Yeah, just looking down through their card there on the 30th of April, Ballinabula Ruby led all the way, was beaten the neck by Kilbannon Psycho down at Limerick. So she's exacting a little bit of revenge. They're just two thoroughly likeable females. She's now won 7 from 19, Ballinabula Ruby. And I think she'll continue with that sort of strike rate, because she'll win her fair share of races. By saying we don't think she'll win the Oaks doesn't mean we don't think she can go further, because she certainly has the right attitude and she certainly has plenty of ability. Moving on to Heat 4, and here is one of the more interesting runners, of course. Scooby Duchess was the winner. She did 16:06 to the third bend. Ballymac Miranda ran a very big race in second spot. Mary's Wedding, we spoke of earlier on, completely missed the kick compared to the opening round and didn't quite get the clearest of runs, got around eventually to finish third, and Anna Lucy was back in fourth again. She didn't quite get the start she's capable of either. Scooby Duchess, though, is probably the one to take out of the race, Declan, because it has been well and truly noted that this lady's still only coming out of season. She's improved, 10 spots from first round to second round. If she continues at that rate, another 10 spots next week from an ideal draw on the fence, she's a major, major player. This is a really, really top class bitch.
Yeah. As I say, at this stage, if you force me, she's the one I would pick to go out right. I mean, she was in season, so no one had any choice here. But having her comeback race in the first round, as we've seen so often down the years, and as we've seen in this competition, is a very tricky. You're walking a tightrope. So she came through that well. She was very good on Saturday. She has one box again in a tough enough heat now, it must be said, next Saturday. So it's all systems go with her. She ran very well. The second one ran an absolute blinder, Ballymac Miranda. I must say that one completely. That was an outstanding performance, and she now must come right into the reckoning going forward. And the pair of them finished 7 lengths clear of Mary's Wedding, who her inexperience perhaps came against her just a little bit, but she'll keep improving in that regard. She qualified, she's top class, and we know what she can do. And Anna Lucy, Rachel Wheeler on a cracking first round. She's still gone through, and really it is all about qualifying, and she's still there.
Yeah, like with Mary's Wedding, you can sort of write off a display like that because we know how good she is, the 27.99. But even apart from that, before the 27.99, she was clearly one that we all sort of just went, wow, she could be anything. This lady,
oh yeah,
she's so well bred. She's
in the first night she ran,
and a massive run last week. Yeah, she's still a major player, and when the firms price up, she still won't be very far off the top of the market, if not at the top of the market, maybe disputing it. But Tommy Scooby Duchess, she's going the right way. Declan said there, coming back from a seasonal rest in the first round of the Oaks is a tightrope. It's a tightrope we walked back in the mid-90s with Cool Survivor. She did 30 seconds or something in the first round, qualified in third or fourth, and got better and better through the competition. It's actually a great place to be in sometimes, because you know yourself, if they hit that 14, 15 week mark, they can just take off. That's the timing of Scooby Duchess. If she gets to the final, I think she'll be 15, sort of 16 weeks. She could be absolutely ideal. I remember Jennifer telling me that she was in season and she was really struggling to get her back. Next minute she did a trial 18:59 in Shelbourne Park. I went, well, she doesn't have all that far to come back, but she's still showing the signs that she's progressing back to her full self. Tommy, Scooby Duchess, she's a top class performer, and there's no question about that.
Well, to be honest, Ian, like she's quite lightly racing. Everything about her points to the fact that she's better now than she ever was, and she in the sense that she's well, I know it's only 2 runs, but she broke extremely well both times. Sections aren't huge, but I suspect that's just the way the track is at the moment. Like 209 is good, is really good at the moment, but probably doesn't. I don't think we're at the point where we can get 2-second sections at the moment. I think she's actually looking, to be honest about it, better than ever, and you'd imagine over the next couple of weeks she will advance that way. I was talking to a good friend of ours the other day just about the Oaks and what he fancied long odds, and he said tricky because again the prices, a bit like Jason said, the prices weren't overly exciting. Jason Craddock, as he said here last week, but he thought that same thing that the lad who talked on Saturday thought that the bet was Scooby Duchess. She was just like you said last week, and you were kind of raving about her. Let's be honest about it. Even though she was beaten, she just had shown those sort of signs. And I think she have to keep breaking like that, because it is going to get a bit tighter. I think it's interesting actually. Just looking at the sections from last week, from Marie's wedding or Mary's wedding, whichever you like. When she did 27.99, 206, 15.98, 27.99. Like, even though it's an exceptional run, it isn't miles ahead of everything else, if you know what I mean. It's not miles ahead of what some of these bitches are doing or
I still think there's 4 or 5 bitches in the competition that can all do that run.
Yeah. Oh, and I maybe a bit unfairly, but I think on the night of the Puppy Oaks or the Puppy Oaks final, that Ballymac Snazzy was on the right side, and Marie's wedding maybe was a little bit unlucky. But that's not to say that Snazzy or Ballymac Snazzy isn't going to improve again, because I think the suggestion from the run the other night was that she is improving as well, as she's entitled to, as they're all entitled to. And a lot of them are young, well, a few of them are young bitches still on the up. So there's really nothing between them. I wouldn't. Like you said, I definitely wouldn't rule out Mary's wedding, whatever. I wouldn't rule her out whatsoever. I was quite happy with the run in the sense that she missed it so badly, went back so far on the sections. Probably was it 222?
Yeah, she does 222. Yeah,
222. Yeah, and then ran up and showed lovely pace into bend and was forced to check badly across the back of Ballymac Miranda, who ran a superb race. So I mean, I'd be kind of thinking, in a long competition like in Oaks or any of the big classics, you're going to have you're probably, unless you're exceptionally consistent, you're probably going to skirt with the exit door at least once along the way. I think that might have been hopefully her kind of missed kick and kind of not bad run, but you know what I mean, unlucky run out of the way now, and she'll be back to form next week.
Of the 6 heats, if you give me, the 4 that qualified from each of the 6 heats as a team, I think this is the heat I'd probably take. Because you've got 3 bitches there, Anna Lucy, Mary's wedding, and Scooby Duchess, and perhaps Ballymac Miranda. We just haven't seen enough of her, but it was very eye-catching run the other night. We know all 4 of them are capable of a massive run, close enough to 28 seconds, and just to be a very strong team of 4. I think all 4 could play a big part going forward in this year's Oaks. We'll move on. Heat 5. This was just another unbelievable heat. Dead heat, believe it or not, between Clogheen Lass and Ballymac Whisper. 16:04 Clogheen Lass to the third bend. I was amazed that she was, well, I know she wasn't beaten, but she was picked up. Considering the pace and power she'd shown the previous week after a 2:20, she'd come from well behind Cathunda Ela and powered home to win in 28:26. On this occasion, she's done 28:18. We'll talk about a little incident after race in a moment, Declan, but it was another power pack display by Ballymac Whisper. She absolutely flew from halfway again to dead heat. Clogheen Lass, again, very strong herself. So to get as close as she did. And Dark Ava, we're used to seeing this lady showing unbelievable form in trials. This was perhaps one of her best ever 4 bend starts, beaten 3 lengths in 28.18. She's doing a 28.39. It's clear why her trial form is so good, because she's a massive engine. She's a great little starter. She just doesn't have the pace to stay there in 4-bend races, into the corner. But 3 fast dogs gone, or 3 fast ladies gone through. Clara, Odessa, the rest of them. Declan, firstly, your thoughts on the heat?
Very exciting, first of all. Clara, Odessa, I was given a bit of a chance to, and everything went right early on. And then, she just probably wasn't up to as good as the other 2 are, because they are very, very good. Ballymac-Quispa, again, a very strong finisher. Whether she'd have the early to win this outright is, but if she gets a run, she is good. Klein Lass is running well. I mean, still the 28.18. Which I think was nearly the fastest heat tonight. So that's the 2 of them emerged.
If Clogheen Lass isn't in the race, we're absolutely, we're throwing rose petals at it, going, this is an unbelievable display.
Good, that's a good point, and it even goes the other way. If Bonnie, if the other one wasn't in it, we'd be saying, So no, I think the first, second emerged with top credit there. Dark Ava ran a cracker. I mean, Dark Ava could run. I think she has run over 6 bends.
She has, yeah. She's a good 6-bend victory at Shelbourne. She's a 41.86 in her card.
Yeah, she hasn't really done the middle pace for 5.25. That's about it. Katunda Ellis, something had to go out there. It was a very, very tough heat. Lujanio was very good, as we saw the previous week, but didn't get a run. Perhaps does need a longer trip, really, to be honest about it at that level. But yeah, no, top class, and the top is there.
Tommy, what's your thoughts on the heat?
I thought actually Ballymac-Quispa was probably slightly unlucky not to win it because of the bump as they came off the last bend and just checked a bit of momentum, and then was going on again, and the 2 of them separated again as they're going past the line or slightly after. I thought like the one in front was a sitting duck the way Ballymac-Quispa was going, and I know that sounds a bit ridiculous when 2 bitches are capable of 28.18. Nothing doing 28.18 is a sitting duck, or shouldn't be at least,
and faster if you consider the bump.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because it affected both of them. It didn't just affect one of them; it affected both of them. But Ballymac-Quispa is phenomenally fast, and that's. I mean, it's when she won at 50 to 1, we kind of went, yeah, okay. It was kind of a great story. And now she's backing it up. Like, the runs are ridiculous. They really are.
Yeah. We want to touch upon it, Declan, because they called a stewards inquiry after this race. I thought it was completely unnecessary. I thought it was, I didn't agree with it. Ballymac-Quispa, the one thing she did the previous week was what? She absolutely swung wide off the last bend, as she did the other evening. She's staying her line. That's clearly her racing line. I just didn't think there was any need for it. After a few moments, they said no change, nothing came of the stewards inquiry. But I thought that could have been done privately. Do you know what I mean? Just have a discussion. But I don't think there was anything there whatsoever.
Well, in fairness to him, I know from my horse racing background that sometimes if you don't call a stewards inquiry, people are more critical of it. I think it was predictable that the result was. We all knew there was going to be no further action taken, and there wasn't. And so it could be, look, I don't know, to be honest. I was a bit surprised it was called, but in fairness, the stewards are quite strict in Shelbourne, and you have to be consistent with that, and I wouldn't criticize them for that at all. They called it, it was over very quickly, and in the end, no, it's okay. That's all right,
Tommy, there was nothing on your end?
No, now in fairness, if they have a better camera than us and they can zoom in, and I assume they can, and things like that, if you just want to see, did she turn her head? She certainly didn't to my eye, and I didn't think there was any question whatsoever that there'd be any change or anything like that, or she'd be thrown out or whatever. But I don't mind them calling it, to be honest about it. I don't mind it. There'd be times you'd be saying to yourself, why aren't they calling one there? Like, and it's not that anybody wants to put anybody else's dog off, but like, the other 5 dogs, if there is one bit of a rogue amongst them, the other 5 dogs are entitled to have a fair run at it in any race. We're talking about whether it be A9 or a classic. So I don't mind them calling it, but like, to my mind, it was just nothing whatsoever in it.
Yeah.
And she, like, you saw what happened. She tried to. she obviously it is her racing line, and she's hell bent on going that way because
at that stage of the race, she's carrying such pace and momentum. I'd say she's no option but to take that line.
You're not just going to, like, when you meet, if they met halfway or something and you say something, but one of them's a half lined up or down, but when they met right in the middle, that's when the real impact is going to happen, and it's going to be hard to quicken off that. So it took her a few strides to get it again, but you could see at the line she was accelerating. I actually thought, watching it live, that she was up. I have to say, I thought that she just accelerated that little second and she was up. Now, obviously, it's the camera angle and whatever else, it just appeared to me that she might have been, but like, they separated going to the escape. They separated long before they got close to the escape. If she was intent on doing something, they would have been at loggerheads all the way.
They were well apart, even on the line, as you say, Tommy.
But even at the line, exactly.
There was loads of ground in between them, and she went clear into the escape. It was just one of those things. It was just a racing line. That's it. Sometimes racing line meets. That's the way it goes.
If the results of the steward's inquiry is right, I never mind them calling it.
Okay, no, that's fair enough. It's just it hasn't been that way in greyhound racing for so long that you know yourself. Whereas in horse racing, they do call steward's inquiry, and you can see steward's inquiries when they still be betting at exchanges and stuff like that. It could be 101 and 1,000, but in this case, I think it was definitely a 101 and 1,000. On to Heat 6, Raha Mofo. 16-16, along with Fahi Divine, who went up very strongly. Fahi Divine tends to run that bit wide. She has form over further, so I suppose it was even more impressive, the Raha Mofo, having caught the eye so much in the opening round, pulled right away. Like, she wins 7 lengths, having been absolutely nose to nose at the third bend sectional. She's doing 28-15. 16-16, as you said, Tommy, 11.99. If you're doing sub 12 seconds, you're really running.
Yeah, that was the really tremendous tip. Like if you could really throw a blanket over the first 5 of them at the third bend, there's probably 2.5, maybe 3 lengths at a push between 5 of the runners at the third bend, and she wins by 7. I mean, they're spread out, the length of the straight as she hits the line. Which is quite remarkable. Like her 2:16 sectional, like if you said to me she'd do 2:16 on Saturday night, I would have said I don't think she's going to lead. And then her 16-16, like, I'm giving that to her. I think they're literally, as you say, neck and neck at that point. 16-16, you're not bowled over at it. It's actually the second slowest. And then she's 28-15. It literally is from, as Declan said earlier on, it literally is from halfway, and it is phenomenal when she gets going.
Yeah. Declan, I certainly got a few phone calls about her during the week. I know a few men were looking to purchase her. I'm not sure that they were interested in the price, but she's no question a very, very talented lady. I think after this Oaks, her future will be over further. But for the meantime, she's a big player.
She looks a big player in the Derby.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. It was superb. And to 28-15. And she certainly comes home because, as you said, and it's a fair point actually, Fahi Divine is about a 31-35-75, so to come behind a 5.75 one at all, but to beat her 7 lengths is just astonishing, it was the outstanding performance on the clock and to the eye, and she is in, I would say, famous last word, I suppose, but I think she is in the easiest of the quarterfinals as well.
Last words is right, Declan.
So anything can happen, but no, she definitely Derby crossed my mind. Yeah. Watching that.
You speak of the heat she's in, the very strong running heat. One of them that she's taking on is Reckless Nanny. I know she was beaten 9 lengths back into third, Declan, but she's looking more and more like a bitch that could be a very nice one over 6 bends.
Yeah, she isn't a 5-2-5 runner. Let's be honest.
No question about it. And the other qualifier there was Highview Venture. She was forced to check off the final bend, and she stays on well, but she's beaten 14 lengths. Tommy Raha Mofo is no question the one to take out of the race. There's still plenty of hurdles to cross with her, but no question she has the pace to be a player.
She has the pace, all right. Like she's not the type of one that I'd be backing for a 5-2-5 yard race or competition, in the sense that we know what the quality of the bitches in it is, but like she has ridiculous pace. Wouldn't it be interesting though if herself and her kennel mate were down to third bend side by side, about 3 lengths off the leader in the final?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that's going to get interesting. Let's take a look at the quarterfinals, gentlemen, because as I said, we're looking for any clues we can get, and there's nothing easy. The opening quarterfinal, you look at them as Scooby Duchess, Ballymacarthur, Ballybula Evie, Ballymacwhisper, Clogheen, Last Highview Moment. There's certainly 4 or 5 bitches there, very capable of doing, low 28 seconds, maybe even faster. Scooby Duchess has the draw. Ballymacwhisper and Clogheen Last, certainly big players. What's your initial thoughts on this, Declan?
Well, the interesting one is Ballymacarthur, because if she breaks like she can, then there's going to be some battle with herself and Scooby on the inside up to the corner. Ballymacwhisper won't be. Clockeen Lass is interesting where she is. She could get a run from there. So they will be the three just without maybe giving it too much thought, and then you're Ballymacwhisper coming from behind. So it's. The inside battle, the run to the first bend is going to be crucial here. If Scooby gets away, then she is the one, I would think. Yeah.
Yeah, you're looking at sort of 1, 2, and 5 perhaps going up well. Like Ballybula Evie has some stunning sectionals around Enniscorthy at 3:14, but this is in very different company. You're looking at Scooby Duchess and Ballymacarthur perhaps up the inside, and then as you say, Clogheen Lass isn't surrounded by speed. Ballymacwhisper and Highview Moment, neither are known for their flying starts. Tommy, it shapes up like a very interesting heat.
Well, it does, because I think for it's if you have one of the bitches in 3, 4, 5, and 6, you're kind of wondering what's going to happen at the first bend, because we got to believe that Scooby Duchess is going to do what she's been doing, and she's going to pop out. We got to believe, you got to think that the likelihood is that Ballymacarthur isn't going to do a 2:18 again. She's probably going to do closer to a 2:10, because she's well capable of, and even better than that. Let's be honest about it. We've seen enough of it over. She's January 19. She really feels like she should be 5 or 6, but she's like, she does. She just feels like she's been around a long time. But I think to be fair, I think she will go up a lot better than she did the other night. And all of a sudden, then you got, let's not call them blockers, but you got 2 very fast bitches in front that you're going to have to, you're going to be battling for 1, maybe 2 places in the final from behind that. So I think Declan made a point, and this is what struck me a little bit when I looked at the heat. First of all, obviously I thought the 1 and 2 would go up and they'd be in prime position to qualify, but I think Clogheen Lass's draw isn't that bad at all.
No, not at all.
I think she could get a great run from it. But then you've got Ballymacwhisper is going to be coming from behind, and the pace that she has is ridiculous. So I think no matter how it pans out, Ballymacwhisper will find a way to the next round.
Yeah, I probably agree with that. I think Scooby Duchess will be favourite, and I do think she'll take a bit of beating. Declan, if you were to nominate your 3,
1, 2, 5.
1, 2, 5. Tommy, 1,
1, 2, 4.
1, 2, 4. I'm going to take a chance. 1, 4, 5. I think if Ballymacarthur doesn't lead Scooby Duchess, I think she's vulnerable. I think Clogheen Lass will be prominent on the outside of the duo, and it could come down to a battle between Clogheen Lass and Ballymacarthur as to who gets that sort of position into the back straight, with then Ballymacwhisper picking up one of them. I think Clogheen Lass might just have the legs of Ballymacarthur at this point.
I do think potentially, Ian, sorry, I do think potentially that if Scooby Duchess and Ballymacarthur to go around the first bend, Scooby Duchess half length in front, that it's not inconceivable that Ballymacarthur lead down to the third bend.
Maybe when we should be on the outside, or she's going to have a full
length. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, but I'm just saying if she does that, then it enhances her chances of qualifying.
Oh, it certainly does that. Anytime you can get to the front, it enhances your chances of qualifying, Tommy. That's a little tip from me, right?
No, thanks, Ian. You know what I mean, though.
Moving on.
You're assuming.
I get the final say. On to the second heat. Onto the second heat. A lot going to come down to the start in this one. Ballymac Miranda, Droopy's Gloss, Mary's Wedding, Anna Lucy, Clara Odessa, and Tullivan Vita. This could well be decided at the first 3 strides, Tommy, whether Droopy's Gloss gets across Ballymac Miranda, whether Mary's Wedding hits the lids. Anna Lucy's more than capable of a flying start. It's just an interesting little one. Clara Odessa, be interesting to see what she does from 5, whether she skips into Anna Lucy's ground. And Tullivan Vita, well, we know she's capable of a fast start, but she does struggle to hold her pitch into the corner. It's a very, very interesting heat, Declan. I'm not sure I'd like to be picking the winner at this point in the week. I might sort of sleep on it, but it's going to come down probably to 2 and 3 in terms of the market. What's your choice?
Well, the one that poses the question is 1, because I mean she was just pipped in the end by Scooby Duchess last week. So if that's her form, then it turns the whole thing around completely, and also 2 and 3 can both miss it. Droopy's Loss and Mary's Wedding, as we've seen last week, they can miss the kick. So that would throw it wide open. Killara Odessa will try and move in at some stage. And then Tullivan and Vita, like Shelbourne, is a great track for wide runners, as we know. And if she just stays out, she'll qualify because she'll get through at some stage. You would think it's a very tricky one. It's a very, very tricky one. I have a feeling Mary's Wedding could bounce back here.
Initial thoughts, Tommy?
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Initial thoughts, Tommy?
Can we go back to the other heat for a second?
No.
No. I'm joking. No, I think Mary's Wedding will bounce back here. I don't think I think the draw is quite favourable. Droopy's Gloss, as fast as she is, she does take those few strides to get going, and that could be crucial. If Mary's Wedding breaks to anywhere close, doesn't have to be a 2:06 like she did when she did 27.99. It can be a 2:11. I think that'll be enough to get her in front of Droopy's Gloss to the bend, because Droopy's Gloss is going to have to tackle Ballymac Miranda at some stage. Whether that's trying to slip through along the inside behind her, or if she's going to be up outside or going into the bend, I don't know. I think actually the makeup of the race, I don't think any of us have, even though Ballymac Miranda has a lot of early pace, I don't think any of us have her down as a lightning early pacer every night of the week. Now she is she's quite likely raced for her age, and she's seriously fast. So I'd love to see, obviously, for Kieran Lynch, for her to qualify. But I just wonder. I don't know that she gets far enough in front of Droopy's Gloss to be less of a nuisance, if that makes sense. So the Droopy's Gloss can kind of pick away around her or past her along the inside or the outside. I don't think she'll give away much on the rails either along the inside to allow Droopy's Gloss. So it is going to be a good test. I think Mary's Wedding actually has what I would call it. I think it's a very good draw. And I think she'll bounce back. But I do see the top three qualifying, to be honest. I think they'll all find a way through.
Top three for you, Tommy. What qualifies, Declan?
As I keep saying, 6 is a great chance for it. It's strong, but I would say the top three, actually. I agree with Tommy there.
I think 2 and 3 will qualify. I think it could be a battle enough for third spot. If Droopy's Gloss takes a ping, just might deny Ballymac Miranda the room she needs. I'll go for Tullivan Vita maybe to run on for third, 2-3-6. On to Heat 3. Droopy's Request well housed in the fence. Ballymac Snazzy up against her. Dark Ava, Highview Venture, Florentis and Fahy Divine. With all due respect to the outside runners, I think 1 and 2 will dominate the betting here. I think they'll take up a large chunk of the betting percentages, Declan. What will be favoured?
Well, I would think 1 will be favoured, but there is always a danger when the 2 fastest ones are on the inside as they will do each other. That can open up for the ones on the outside. That's if they don't get cleanly away, But they do dominate. I was very impressed with Ballymac's Snazzy last week, and I would just actually shade her to be Droopy's Request, who was also winning last week. Third place, probably Florentis. She couldn't rule out Fahy Divine, who was perfectly drawn and who stays on, which can come into it in qualifying, But I would think perhaps 2-1-5.
2-1-5.
Tommy, I dare say you're going to go for one of the top 2.
Even though the sections say otherwise, I would think that Ballymac Snazzy is that little bit sharper, but I still just prefer the top Droopy's Request from the draw. I think she's that bit stronger. She's the one that can probably afford to get a little bit of a bump along the way and still qualify or still produce something close to her best. Ballymac Snazzy, I wouldn't like to see get a bump early. Just that I know she's been picked up by ridiculously fast bitches, but are ridiculously strong competitors the last twice. I think that Droopy's Request just will make the most of the draw.
Yeah, they're very, very remarkably similar cards. 8 starts, 4 wins, 2 seconds. Both young ladies, both similar sizes. It's just remarkable that they're side by side. And again, if they were drawn the other way around, it'd be probably Snazzy to beat Request. I'm going to go Request to beat Snazzy purely from the draw. Yeah. And for third spot, I think I will go with Florentis. She has that good start in her. I think she'll turn prominently, and then we know exactly what will happen. She'll be outpaced by the big 2 down the back straight, and she'll be staying on again like a train. She's only a June 20 herself. Hard to believe she's that young. She just seems to be around a little bit longer than the top 2. I agree with you. The 1, 2, and 5 for me. And then to the final heat, where some real strong runners here. Droopy's next one in Trap 1. Second last night, Declan, the opening round, she took a step right from Trap 2. Not so much the other evening, but it'd be interesting to see what she does from the inside box. Ballinarul Ruby, after her fine display last week, is in 2. Kilbannon Psycho's in 3. She can run from any box, but I think she's at her best in the inside. Raha Mofo is in 4. That's further out than she's been in a while. Reckless 95 and Droopy's Dot in 6. There's not what you would call an abundance of early speed in this race. It's just very possible that there could be 3 or 4 of them battling it out for the corner.
Well, if Droopy's next one is as good as the market tells us every week, she is. This is the place and time to show it. You know, she's perfectly.
She has the draw, yeah.
She has everything, yeah. But Raham Mofa last week, it's very hard to get away from that. And as I say, it's not. It doesn't look on paper the most competitive of the 4 heats. And Raham Mofa certainly would qualify. I would think she would probably just beat Droopy's next one, and the third one. One of the 2 on the outside will be running on. I would perhaps say Reckless Nanny will get third there.
Tommy?
This just looks a dangerous heat for me for Rahamofo. I prefer if there was
if there was 4 early pacers against her, away and gone, she can pick her spot. Whereas she could be right in the firing line, meeting the sandwich job.
That's what worries me. Look at that heat. I could see 1, 2, 3, and 4 all being very close together at the first bend, and just where do you go and what happens? I don't know. I would prefer if 2 of the 3 inside her were big early paces that would fly off and be a couple of lengths, 3, 4 lengths clear of her, going around the first and second bends. Just a little bit worried. Obviously, her pace is superior. Let's just say so far what we see. And Droopy's next one can improve. Actually, there's a few of them are quite young and they can improve plenty. But look, I don't see. I just hope that Raham Mofo finds a way to get through, because she's exciting, and to have her as part of any competition, and particularly to be in the latter stages, maybe even a final, she'll bring a certain dynamic to the final. So I hope she finds a way to qualify and is there in the last 6.
Yeah, what's your 3?
I think this is. I honestly got it. If I probably just because of the draw, one of 4 anyway, and after that, maybe even 6. I don't know. There's going to be some sort of bumping along and scrimmaging inside. Maybe 1, 4, and 6.
Yeah, I'm struggling to see how it's going to be an ultra cleanly run race. I think they're too matched in various parts of the race, and I think there will be not bad traffic, but I think there'll just be a lack of space in various parts of the race, and could suit something like Reckless Nanny or Droopy's Dot finishing well. So Declan, you're with 1, 4, and 5. Am I right in saying?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm between the pair of
4,
you.
1, 5,
1, 4, 5, 1, 4, 6, and that's purely because I don't think 2 or 3 can get loose on the bunny, and I think they'll be vulnerable to the others. I'll go 1, 4, 5. I think Reckless Nanny is running well. She's going to need to be holding her pitch into the corner against the likes of Droopy's Dot, but I think she could qualify. Gentlemen, if you had to pick a winner, Declan, you're with Scooby Duchess, am I right in saying?
Correct. Yeah.
Tommy?
All depends on prices, but I'm still not giving up on Mary's Wedding at the moment.
Yeah, I'm struggling. I really am struggling. Listen, she's in trap 1 in the next round, so maybe I'll go with Scooby Duchess as well. But I think there's 4 or 5 ladies there so closely matched in terms of the times they're able to do, and okay, they have various running styles, but no, I think perhaps it's probably best to favour something you can go to the front early. That's always been a good course of action in the Oaks. Gentlemen, before we leave Shelbourne Park, I just want to touch on one display. Declan, were you there Saturday night?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Droopy's Optimum. He was a dog that always carried a massive reputation. I just wanted to give him a mention. He was racing against the Irish Derby favourite 2 in a row. Didn't happen for the dogs on the inside. It all got a bit squeezy and tight in there. But Droopy's Optimum, Declan, I'm not sure there was a dog in the planet could have matched him to the third bend the other night. He only does 28.04. And I say only does 18.04, 28.04, because he did 15.68 to the third bend since the clock went in about 3 years ago. I don't think anything's got within a length of that. I think that's absolutely different gravy. I was taken aback by it. He does 28.04, so it means like he's coming home in like a 12.36 compared to a Rahamofo doing a 11.99. But he's the guts of 5 lengths faster than anything in the Oaks to the third bend. It was just the most stunning display to that third turn.
It was a remarkable one. I was getting ready to cross the track because I had to make the draw for the quarterfinals, and he just came out of that 6 box. The minute he hit the lid, he said, "What's this? Somebody's coming here." You just knew it. So he actually started very well as well. His third bend section, I actually were wondering, Ian, has that been better? Was it 15.68?
Yeah, no, it hasn't. It hasn't been better. No, it definitely hasn't been better.
No,
we suspect there was something in the 1570s by Boyle Sports extra the night of the Night of Stars. He did a massive run that night, but unfortunately the video never pans around to the video. But my stats nerd, I was onto him on Saturday night. He thinks it was something like a 1578 or a 1576 around that, but it's certainly nothing's gone into the 60s.
And to put it in an even better context, just the point that Tommy was making there, generally our sections on night were around 209. So the track is not running that particularly fast. So, I mean, to do 1568 in those, and 2804, when you compare it to the Oaks times, it's a sensational run. Yeah, it just took your breath away. It was a staggering run, for sure.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where he goes from here. Obviously, the 12:36 is an issue, but he's not very lightly raced. He could strengthen up. There's no question he's capable of a massive run. And I know there's been plenty of rumblings about him over the last few months. We knew there was a run in him, but he produced it. Gentlemen, Towcester. Go ahead, Tommy.
There was like it has been a while since we've seen him as well, Dean. So he's probably entitled to strengthen up on it. I think Anna Lucy did the fastest turbine section so far in the old 1595 last week, I think.
Yeah,
and just another point, Ian, about Troopy's optimum. He was coming off a sprint trial, and then verbally coming off a sprint trial, run out of steam the last few yards.
Yeah.
So I mean, he probably would have, if he'd come off a 5:25 trial, or if he's that little bit fit, he probably would have broken 28 seconds.
Yeah, next week he could do a 1580, but do a 28-second run. Do you know what I mean? Pacing themselves through a race.
1580 isn't too bad either.
No, it certainly isn't.
Take that. Yeah,
might lead one or two. We'll go to the to Towcester, gentlemen. We just want to touch on it briefly. It was a good weekend for Ireland, but it was also a bad weekend for Ireland in terms of qualifying numbers. We took a fair hit. We took some collateral damage, but we had 6 good winners. And I mean 6 really good heat winners. But Balnabula Ed is clearly the standout at this stage. He's a very warm favourite at this point. Declan O'Donoghue, he's doing everything right except the traps. He's recovering though. And Pat keeps telling me that there's a start in him. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes, but he's doing everything right at present.
He is. He's outstanding, and he was good in the Kirby as well. I wouldn't worry about the start. I mean, he is. If he just keeps doing what he's doing, he looks the likely winner. Very, very good. But as we know, look, we saw even last weekend there were surprises all over the place. Fancy Dogs just went out very, very tamely.
As you say, some very, very, very tame performances by a few of the Irish. Track was running a bit strange. It was very hard to get a read on it this weekend. You had some dogs from the inside not running at all, some dogs from the inside running very well. And again, same for the outside. In the end, the Irish sort of put a bit of a gloss on things by winning the last 2 heats. We have to mention Romeo Magico and Kildare, 2 big players in the competition. Paul Hennessy had an unbelievable weekend. Hello Hammond performing a minor miracle to win on Friday night. And JT Wexford, despite all my slagging of the dog prior to the competition, the dog named after the old fella, doing a big run on Saturday night and leading home Barefoot Supremo. So Paul has 4 dogs through to the next round. He had 4 dogs in the second round. He's 4 dogs through.
Well, Paul must be, to see Priceless Jet in front, the current Cullen winner, and not win. It was that kind of a night. The JT Wexford could be a beautiful story. It just could be for the reasons you mentioned. And the funny thing is, to be honest, after his great start, he's been an underachiever until now.
Big time.
But he is starting to come right now at just the right time. I don't know. I don't want to get anyone too excited, but that could just really be some story. It'd be magical if it was.
I sent Paul a text. He took him out of an A2 dual distance final at Shelbourne Park to run the Derby. He says, "We're taking him out. We're going to focus on the big one." And I sort of sent back a sort of smiley face as if to say, "Yeah." And I sent him a text there Saturday night. Said, in hindsight, that probably wasn't a bad idea. He set himself around for being his element.
Tommy, it's a derby where everything is happening anyway. Yeah. So I wouldn't rule anything out.
Everything is happening. There's 1 or 2 dogs snuck through as well. Sing Along Sally was a very good winner. Ballymac one ran very well. Tommy, what were your thoughts of the weekend?
You probably set your clock by Sing Along Sally, couldn't you? Isn't she just a smasher?
Brilliant. Yeah.
I think when dogs around her aren't coping with this side of the track and that side of the track, and they're missing breaks and doing everything, I think she'll just do the right thing every time. She's just that type of bitch. I think I did say last week about Laturo I was wrong. It's Liam O'Keefe who had Laturo over here. He ran a cracking race behind Romeo Magico, I thought. I wouldn't rule him out as a winner yet, even though he'd beaten the other night. I think things just didn't go exactly right from the Roman Magical. Got a lovely run. I think that was a good heat. Kildare, what a smashing dog he's turning into. We kind of suspected that, and he's even though he looks weak in the last maybe 10 or 15 yards, he's doing so much before that. And you could hear.
Oh, Tommy, my instinctive reaction was the same as yours. But if you actually look back in the run, what he did to those dogs to the third bend was unbelievable. It was only you'd be surprised if he hadn't tied up a little bit.
I know he doesn't. I don't think he doesn't like interviews anyway. But Peter Cronin, you could just sense from he just didn't. He wanted to keep his mouth shut. I think he was being interviewed after Kildare. He didn't want to say what he really felt about the dog or the pup or what potential he has. He just it's kind of, don't ask me. Just let the dog do it, please.
Yeah,
you know?
but then he said he's got huge potential. There's better to come. Yeah, and like reading between the lines, that basically means, by the way, lads, this is an absolute flying machine.
It's an absolute machine altogether. And Torn Falcon ran well again. Like Torn Falcon can only win a derby if it does exactly what it did in the final last year, which is leave all its previous trapping behind and find something, you know, out of the box that we may not see until it gets to the final again. But Kildare was a little bit special, I have to say.
Yeah, Declan, we have 14 of the 48. It's not where we thought we would be ahead of the weekend. We were probably thinking more of the 20 sort of region, but it's a very strong 14.
Look, I mean, dogs make fools of us all. I mean, last year we couldn't see anything but an Irish victory in the final. You know, and it was a home one too, so I wouldn't be reading too much into that.
The big problem is I'm going to be there final night this year, so I'm going to have to get it in the ear if we don't back it up.
Yeah, well, I can't resist saying something. Kildare did an awful lot better than the Kildare footballers did, but we let that one go. I won't go to Newbridge anytime soon, not we?
I'll tell you what, it would have been a bad Saturday night now. It would have been a bad Saturday night if you were a Kildare man who follows rugby and is a Liverpool supporter. But we won't go into that now because Tommy's probably feeling a bit sore. We'll come back to these shores. There's so much on at the moment. Swords Rex, Declan, is it fair to say that the penny has really dropped at this dog? I think he's even a better dog than he was in the Kirby. That run on Saturday night at Clonmel was simply breathtaking.
He is superb, and for obvious reasons, everyone in Shelbourne will be cheering for Swords Rex. And maybe I'm a lucky omen. I was on before the Kirby final as well. He's look. You can't argue with what he's doing. It's still a good final. There's 6 good runners. Anything can happen. I like his kennel mate as well, who was very impressive. You know what I mean?
Both dogs were bought at the exact same time.
Is that right?
Both at the same time, and it was Noel Byrne that did the deal for the Pillar Syndicate. And, you know, Leonard had suggested I want to buy one of them. And they left Leonard with the choice, and he chose Swords Rex. Wasn't a bad choice. Leonard knows his onions.
So far, so good. Leonard knows the time of day, all right. Certainly it was, but New and Homer is very good as well. Serene Tiger. Look, there's 6 very good dogs, and as we know, the Produce Stakes is often a beaten finalist that in later times goes on and does great things. Yeah. But right now, Swords Rex holds all the aces. He's superb. You know,
he seems to have it all at now. Like he seems to have even added a string to his bow. What he did to the corner the other night was unbelievable. Like there was some real early speed in that race, and he ragged them.
Look at if they were to change one thing, they might change the draw in the final and swap the 2 kennel companions, and in 2 and 3. But I still don't think it'll make that much of a difference. It was quite phenomenal yet again. A second time under 28 seconds in 3 runs is bound to take his toll at some stage. That I'm sure he'll get a break after this competition. But he is, I think you're right, Ian, he just seems to be getting better.
Yeah. I think he should be Derby favourite. Himself and Balnaboula Ed. I think they're the 2 dogs that you really want.
And because it was early pace, you'd have him favoured over Balnaboula Ed, wouldn't you?
I don't know yet. We'll see.
I would.
Balnaboula isn't doing too much wrong now as well. But no, 2 exceptionally talented greyhounds. We're just, I know we've been saying it over and over again, but the last 2 or 3 years, we've just been blessed with unbelievable greyhounds. The Lee Strandon on Saturday night was won by a Tulloch Suriname, Declan. Pat Buckley's been telling me for a week or 2 that this dog is a bit of a machine. He looks very, very talented. It'll be interesting to see how he takes to a 550 yards at Shelbourne Park against, you know, dogs that can really fly to a corner. But there's no question he's 7 from 7 now. He certainly is a greyhound worth keeping an eye on in the future.
Well, of course, and I mean the record speaks for itself. And Pat Buckley has had and has at the moment a fair few good ones to be comparing him with. So, I mean, if he rates him that highly, then we should all sit up and take notice for sure, Yeah,
I want to mention one more dog, Hanover Phantom, wasn't it? that equaled the track record to 550 yards at Galway on Saturday night. He did a 29.66, I believe it was. It was a massive, massive run. Just cleared the bend. He was taking on some really talented types. Vincenzo, who had set the standard in the opening round of the Golden Muzzle, was actually taken out of that competition to run in this open race at Galway on Saturday night, was a long way behind him in second spot. He's a very, very fast greyhound for Declan McDonough, who continues to produce some really fast greyhounds from what is a small base down in Clare. A dog that will now be heading to Shelbourne Park. Declan had intimated to me a couple of weeks ago that he'd be taking in this Champion 550. That's the one prior to the Champion Stakes. Obviously, it was won last year by.
That's the one for younger dogs, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
was going to say it was Jack's Little Thing won the actual plate competition. They didn't even throw him in the. Oh no, did he win the Champion 550? They went to Champion Place. Yeah, it's a competition that's seen some superstars in it. I know that quite a few of them been lined up this year. It could be a very hot competition, but Hanover Phantom is a dog to look forward to seeing in Shelbourne Park, Declan.
Surely on that display, yes, he is. Yeah. Sure.
Any other business, Tommy?
No, geez, no, it's just been up the walls and trying to keeping track of everything that's been going on. It's been ridiculously busy and will continue to be so for another while.
Yeah, sorry, you mentioned Newbridge earlier on, Declan. We have to mention Toolmaker Wild. He lived up to his name on Friday night in the Friends of Newbridge A1 Derby. It may have been an A1 Derby, wasn't an A1 Greyhound winning it. He took off. He does a 29.50 odd run. I think it's only the third fastest run ever at Newbridge. He's only 2 spots off the clock. He's a nice one. Robert Gleeson all of a sudden has 3 or 4 very nice dogs.
He has, and as you said, the winner on Shelbourne on Saturday was that's the best run. I know it's a one-off race, but it's the best run we've probably seen in Shelbourne so far this year. I mean that's a good that was, and the one in Newbridge is clearly a very, very special dog as well, no question.
Yeah, lots to look forward to, gentlemen. The quarterfinals of the Sporting Press online edition Irish Oaks will be held on Saturday night. Don't forget that you can purchase your online edition of the Sporting Press for €2 during the entirety of the competition. I think there's also a deal there, €156 for the year. That's €3 a copy rather than €4 a copy if you sign on with the Sporting Press. Our thanks to the sponsors. Again, the best sponsorship in Irish Greyhound Racing. It's been there for a long, long time, Declan. Hopefully for another while yet.
31 years, I believe.
You were only a fresh-faced, middle-aged man when it started. Unlike myself and Tommy, nothing fresh-faced about us at this point in our careers. No. We've been beaten down. Gentlemen, a pleasure talking to you as always. Lots to look forward to. Best of luck to the remaining Irish runners in the Star Sports TRC English Derby. To all those with a runner in the Sporting Press online edition Irish Oaks, and of course, best of luck to the 6 connections in the Produce Stakes sponsored by Larry O'Rourke. Great work being done at Clonmel at present. I urge you to get down to that final. Should be a wonderful, wonderful night. We didn't even mention the champion on race last night. Another holiday, another winner for Michael O'Donoghue, an exciting dog. Wonders where he will go next. I'm sure we'll be seeing him in Shelbourne Park very shortly indeed. But that's it from us on this Monday. The very best of luck. We'll see you next time.